Okay, today I'm sharing my #1 top favorite makeup product in every category right now. These are the products that I've been reaching for nonstop over the last month or two. Just my favorite products as we head into the fall season, things that I cannot get enough of. So I did a video like this maybe 2 months ago on my channel, and I feel like it's a good alternative to the typical favorites videos that I was filming for years and years. I still love watching a good old-fashioned favorites video, but for me, this is a nice way for me to actually apply the products on camera, talk about them, show you what they look like, how they work with other products, and just kind of give you some updates on newer products that have truly made it into my staple makeup routine and some older products that just can't be beat. Okay, so let's start with this product, which I honestly cannot get enough of it. It's from Henriksen. It is the Pout Preserve Peptide Lip Treatment. So this one is the cocoa one. So it does have a nice kind of chocolatey scent, a little bit of a red tint on me. I also like the strawberry one a lot, but I like the way this one looks a little bit better. I really think these have replaced the Summer Fridays lip balms for me. I still love a good Summer Fridays lip balm, but these are a little bit thicker, longer lasting, more hydrating. I feel like the formula overall is just a step up. I do like the Summer Fridays applicator and the scent a little bit better, or the scents in general, but I do love this formula. I feel like when it comes down to it, I'd rather spend my money on one of these over Summer Fridays. And I don't know, what do you guys think? If you've tried these and Summer Fridays, which one do you prefer? So for my base, I'm actually going to be using the Huda Beauty Easy Blur Primer and Foundation. I'm definitely back on a foundation kick, and I feel like that tends to happen more so in the fall and winter for me. I don't know. I mean, I guess a lot of people like to do that. Like you go very lightweight in the summer because you don't necessarily want to have a foundation on your skin. Just like a nice light tinted moisturizer or a tinted sunscreen is a good option. And then once fall and winter roll around, I feel like that I don't know. I don't reach for tinted moisturizers or tinted sunscreens as much. That might change this year because I feel like overall I have been a fan of those lighter coverage tinted products more than I ever have been in the past. But the Huda Beauty Foundation is so lightweight. It is incredibly comfortable on the skin. It almost doesn't feel like a typical foundation because it has that super thin, runny texture. So it just feels like more of an enjoyable experience as I apply it to the skin, and it wears so well throughout the day. It's very, very smoothing. I do love pairing it with the Huda Beauty Easy Blur Primer. You don't have to wear this foundation with this primer. Both of these products are gorgeous on their own or with other foundations and other primers, but together I do think they work extremely well. It just kind of elevates the entire look and wear time when you wear them together. This primer has such an interesting texture. It's like not a gel. It kind of looks and feels like your typical silicone type free primer. No. It looks and feels like your typical silicone primer, but it's silicone free. So I think that's why it works for my skin so well, because those silicone type feeling primers usually cause my foundation to kind of slip and slide all around throughout the day. Whereas this primer, it does create that very smooth, even canvas, but I also feel like foundation wears super well on top of it. I would say the primer that I have in my collection that's the most similar is the Cali Ray one. The textures are a little bit different, but they both give your skin that smooth, even look and feel, so foundation just wears and applies really beautifully on top. I would say if you have Cali Ray, you could probably skip this one, but honestly, I've been using this one nonstop. I think it's a great option. So let's go in with the foundation. I have the shade Shortbread, which is 200B. So this is what the foundation looks like. It's very thin, very runny. I usually just apply it to the back of my hand first. This was like a perfect shade match for me. We did go to the beach last week with my family. I got a slight tan. I don't purposely try to tan. In fact, I load up on the sunscreen. I wear a hat the entire time, and I still walk away with a million extra freckles. And then maybe a slight tan, nothing too intense. So this might, I mean, I think it will still match my neck perfectly fine. It just might look a little bit lighter than the rest of my body, but I'm wearing long sleeves today, so that's fine. Anyway, what's nice about this foundation is that it does have great coverage, but because it's super thin, it doesn't really feel like you're wearing a typical fuller coverage foundation. But I will say you can sheer this out for sure. Like if you want a little bit of a lighter look, you can just go in with a lighter layer or really blend it into the skin, and I'll still be able to see my freckles, but it will cover redness, which is really, really nice. Honestly though, whenever I'm wearing foundation these days, it's this one. It feels good on the skin, it looks good on the skin, and it wears really well. So all around, such a good formula in my opinion. I hope October has been going really well for you so far. If it is fall where you live, how has the start of your fall season been? It's actually been really beautiful where I live. The leaves really aren't changing. I live in the Northeast, so the fall is one of the most beautiful times because all of the leaves change. And next weekend, we're actually going to like our annual fall festival where we ride the ski lift up to the top of the mountain. And you're supposed to be able to see like all of the gorgeous leaves, but honestly, they haven't really started changing. So I think it's going to be, I mean, it will still be beautiful, but I don't think it will be quite the fall experience it normally is. I'm just going to go in with a tiny little bit more in the areas where I really want my foundation to last all day and where I'm dealing with some redness. My skin is actually pretty clear right now, not breaking out for once. But that really is one of the reasons why I love this foundation, because even if you build it up, it doesn't look heavy or cakey on the skin because it is such a lightweight formula. Okay, I think this one's going to be the wrong shade for me. I don't know what happened. So I had this Natasha Denona concealer in N3 and N4. And I think when I did my concealer declutter, I said I was going to declutter N3 and keep N4. And I think I accidentally decluttered N4 because this, I don't know why else I would have this. It's a little bit dark for me. I like N4 better, but I'm waiting for the Sephora Spring Savings event to repurchase it because honestly, why pay full price when I know that's right around the corner? So we'll just go with it. So for bronzer, my favorite has been the LYS Beauty bronzer stick. I have the shade Hope. I've actually been using this a lot, like probably for the majority of the summer, honestly. It is one of my all-time favorite products. I kind of go back and forth between this and the Makeup Revolution Ultra Cream Bronzer. And I like this one because it's a little bit lighter than the Makeup Revolution one. So once I blend this in, blend my concealer in and set everything, it doesn't look like I have a stripe of bronzer on my face, which is something that I can tend to struggle with just because a lot of bronzers pull very, very orangey on me. So this will come together in the end. I just like to do bronzer and concealer at the same time so I can get like a truly seamless look. So basically I just throw the bronzer on and then use the concealer to kind of blend out the edges and make everything look seamless. I think I said when I did my last video that I would try to feature some of my favorite brushes in these videos too. So I think I talk about this one all the time, but it's the e.l.f. Complexion Duo Brush. That's what I used for bronzer. And then for foundation, I think this is actually supposed to be a dupe for this one. This is the IT Cosmetics number 7. I use this for foundation. The bristles on the e.l.f. one aren't quite as dense, so I actually do like that for bronzer a little bit better, just because I feel like it gives a slightly more natural look. And then for concealer, this is the Sigma F64. If I do happen to leave out any of the brushes that I'm using, I'll make sure to list all of them in the description box below. I feel like I need a little bit more concealer right here. Maybe it's just because the shade is slightly too dark for me. I do love the Natasha Denona concealer. I wouldn't say I've been using that one exclusively. I didn't really have like a standout product in the concealer department. I've been switching back and forth between that one, Tower 28, Catrice. I'm actually almost out of my Catrice concealer and my Tower 28 concealer. I feel like I'm running out of a bunch of makeup products that I love all at the same time, but I've just been trying to wait for the Sephora sale. Okay, so to set my under eye concealer, I am going to go in with the Huda Beauty powder, which is an older favorite. I do have another powder, oh, too much powder. I do have another powder to talk about that I've been loving, but typically, even when I use that other powder, I will still use the Huda Beauty one right under my eyes. I get the most oily in this area, like on my nose, right around here, and then my T-zone. So I love the other one, which is just the, it's just the Makeup by Mario one. It's the new one, the Surreal Skin Soft Blur Setting Powder. I have 2 neutral light. So that truly is such a gorgeous powder. Honestly, it definitely gives more of a blur to the skin than the Huda Beauty one. The reason why I don't exclusively use that one is because my skin is still so oily right now. I think in another month or two, maybe by the time I'm doing this video in like, oh my gosh, December, I guess, because I usually do them every 2 months, I'll probably be mentioning the Makeup by Mario one as my absolute favorite. I like the way the Makeup by Mario one looks on the skin better than Huda Beauty because it is so airy. It's so lightweight and gorgeous. It definitely doesn't look like you're wearing powder. It really never looks cakey at all. but it doesn't lock my makeup in as well as Huda Beauty because it is so light and soft. It blurs the skin more than any other powder I've tried, honestly. First of all, you just need a super small amount of this powder. It is so gorgeous on the skin and it just erases texture. I'm not one to say that about a lot of products. And part of the reason I feel like my complexion does look so smooth when I'm using this powder is because I'm typically pairing it with the Huda Beauty primer and foundation. But I have used it with other complexion products and it truly just gives your skin the most beautiful, smooth finish. It is so stunning. This is the powder for those of you that don't like the feel or look of powder. It's beautiful. Even though I have other formulas I love, I think I can easily say like this is the highest quality, most beautiful powder I've tried. Okay, so let me just run through the brows. My favorite brow products typically don't change very often. This is the NYX Thick It Stick It Brow Gel. And then I'm just going to fill them in with the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Tint Pen. I think in my last video I actually used the Milani one, but I finished that up. So I use Milani and NYX pretty much interchangeably. Okay, so for the eyes, honestly, my go-to palette, my number one palette, like if I really had to narrow it down, would probably be this one, the Urban Decay Moondust Space Cowboy Quad. This is like a limited edition palette they did for the holiday season. I think they actually launched another one at Ulta, but this is the one they launched at Sephora. You get 4 different Moondust shadows for $39. This one is definitely my favorite, but overall it is a really gorgeous palette. Most days I'll typically blend like a matte in the crease and then take a shimmer or glittery shadow all over the lid. So this is perfect for those days. I might end up using that in today's video, but my other go-to palette, I guess I'm kind of cheating in this area, just because I wouldn't really create a full look with this, is the Natasha Denona I Need a Warm. So I might end up using this palette, maybe not for the full look, but we'll start with it. I mean, obviously you can't really get like a full-on cool toned look with this palette, but there is a look that I feel like I tend to do that's kind of smoky, that's slightly less warm than the typical warm look I do. Like this side is obviously very heavily warm, but sometimes if I use this side, I get more of a true neutral toned look that only leans slightly warm, if you know what I mean. It's just such a warm toned palette that in general, I feel like a lot of the looks end up being so warm, but sometimes I want something a little bit less intense. So anyway, I'm just starting with this shade Mellow right here, and then I'm going to go in with this shade. I pretty much always start with Mellow just as a transition color, and this is a Sigma E61. So I just finished Iron Flame. I actually got it on Audible. I read Fourth Wing, I think back in January, and I read the physical book. We were at the airport and I forgot my Kindle, I forgot an actual book, and we didn't have the kids with us. Actually, we were flying down to meet Theo's biological mom at the time, which is so crazy to think about. But I really wanted to read a book just because I was feeling a little bit nervous and stressed. And honestly, like I love reading so much, but I don't always get the chance to read a physical book just because there's always so much going on. So anyway, I bought Fourth Wing at like one of the airport random gift shops or whatever. And I got through it in 2 days. It was so good. It had me hooked right from the beginning. That's not the genre I normally read, but I just thought it was really good, really interesting. So I got through that super quickly. I bought Iron Flame, but then Theo was bored and we had a newborn and a toddler, and I fell asleep after reading like 1 page every single night or whenever I got the chance to. So finally I was like, let me just get it on Audible. And of course it was really good. So I wanted to ask you if that's like the type of genre you're normally into, please share any recommendations. I know ACOTAR is really popular. My husband actually bought me the first book in that series for Mother's Day. I'm using the shade, haven't cracked it open. So honestly, I might just stick with Audible. I'm such an Audible fan because I just feel like whenever I'm getting ready, whenever I'm editing, whenever I'm doing anything, I can use Audible. This isn't sponsored, by the way. I've worked with Audible in the past. There is something very relaxing about reading a physical book instead of like scrolling your phone at night. So that's what I would honestly love to do before I go to bed. It's just not the most practical right now at this phase in our lives. And I feel like if I want to actually finally dive into a book, like it has to be an audiobook. Anyway, so for the makeup, I'm just taking this dark brown on the outer corner just to deepen it up a little bit. I'm going to go over the full lid with a metallic shadow. So I kind of throw it in there very quickly. I don't really take too much time to blend. I did a full update on this palette in my most recent speed reviews video, and I said I had a trouble with a couple of the brown shadows in here. Like they ended up looking a little bit patchy on my eyes. And that's not normally something I experience with Natasha Denona palettes. I really like this palette. I feel like it is just very easy for quick day-to-day looks, especially if you want a warmer toned eyeshadow look, but you don't want something quite as vibrant as like the bronze palette. That being said, I don't really find it to be as high on my list. Like if I was ranking all of my Natasha palettes, which someone did ask me, or someone left a comment asking me to do that recently, which I might film an updated version on that, I probably wouldn't rank this one quite as high as I initially thought I would. Partly because I do have some issues with the blending. I just don't find it quite as easy to blend as some of her other palettes, which is weird because it is a fully neutral palette. And you know, usually if it comes to shadows that are harder to blend out, it might be like a purple tone or a green, something more colorful that is typically known to be harder to formulate rather than a brown. So that's one issue. The other thing is not really an issue at all. I feel like a lot of the looks I create with this palette can be replicated with an existing palette in my collection. So in the end, I don't regret it. I do use it a lot. It's very practical for the way that I like to do my makeup these days. I'm going to use this shade all over the lid. I wouldn't say it is her must-have palette. Or I guess I should correct that. It's not my must-have palette out of her full range. I will say this shade is so stunning. So this is one of her new formulas. I forget what the exact name is. I feel like every time she says she has a new formula, it's like glimmer, slidey, glidey, metallic, glass shimmer. I like it just, it always has some sort of adjective where I'm like, oh, that sounds amazing, but I can never keep them straight. It is so gorgeous though, like very reflective, very mirror-like on the eyes. So I mean, as always, her metallic shadows, like they're perfect. They really are. I don't have any issue with the metallics in here. Whenever I have an issue with quality, it's one of the mattes. It's just very reflective, very beautiful. Honestly, this shade and even this darker brown can look significantly cooler, especially if I'm pairing them with like a cooler transition shade. And I'll tone down that transition color as I like blend out the edges. But I feel like they do really work well with a cooler toned palette. Like I have the Glam palette. I have a couple of cool tones in other palettes, so they look really beautiful combined with other palettes too. Let's actually tone down that transition shade right now. This is just the lightest shade from the e.l.f. I Love You Latte Quad. It's typically what I use on my brow bone. And I just feel like this makes a difference. If you're someone who's kind of I just call myself like a little bit of a sloppy blender just to get like more of an even look. Something like this is nice. It doesn't have to be this shade, something that would work for your skin tone. And if you just kind of use it under the brow bone to kind of smooth over the transition, I think it just creates more of a seamless look overall. And that's kind of how I go from like this to this. It's literally just taking a shadow and smoothing right over the edges. I didn't even use the Urban Decay quad, even though I literally said that was my favorite. So let's just take a little bit of this lightest shade right here. On the eyes, I do feel like this shade looks very, very similar to Space Cowboy, but it just kind of like amps up the look. I love the Moondust shadows so much, but they're expensive. I mean, I think, what are they? $25 each, I think. This palette is $39 for 4, and each shadow in here is just slightly smaller than a full-size Moondust shadow, but it's a good way to get multiple shades for a discounted price. To tightline, I've been using the Milk Makeup Infinity Longwear Eyeliner, and I have the shade Outer Space. Did I talk about this in my speed reviews video? I had to cut a few products out because the video was so long. I like this because, first of all, the shape is perfect for fitting right in this area. I also like the fact that it is retractable because you don't have to sharpen it, which if it's something you use almost every single day, it's really nice not to have to worry about whether or not it's sharp. It does transfer onto the waterline for probably like the first 10 minutes, but once it fully dries, it's locked into place. Then to line my upper lash line, I've been using the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes Liquid Liner for the last few months. It's very dark, very dramatic. I like that it's a felt tip because it allows me to have a little bit more control. I feel like I get a good wing with it. I don't have any complaints about it. For the lower lash line, honestly, I don't think I'm going to use that palette just because I don't want to go so warm. I'm going to reach into my e.l.f. quad and take this shade right here. Just keep it pretty subtle. I do like to do lower lash line shadow though, because I feel like it helps kind of, well, I feel like it just helps tie the look together, honestly. I don't typically go super dramatic on the lower lash line these days, unless I'm doing like a very colorful look, then I might go a little bit more dramatic, but I just feel like a soft shadow kind of ties things together. And I don't know, I can't embrace like the blank lower lash line. I just can't get on board with it on me. Although I might skip eyeliner on the waterline. I don't know if I'm going to do that today. Okay, so for mascara, I have actually been using this one a lot lately. It is the One Size Fantasize mascara. This is such a good mascara. First of all, it stays in place extremely well. So if you are looking for a very long wearing mascara, that's not technically waterproof. I feel like sometimes mascaras that are actually marketed as waterproof mascaras are just so hard to get off at the end of the night. And this one is a little bit more difficult to remove at the end of the night compared to other formulas I have, but still easier than waterproof. Anyway, they don't market it as a waterproof mascara, but it is truly a long wearing mascara. It's also very dramatic, very easy to build up. So you get a good amount of volume, a good amount of length, and it's just all around really good. I think it's underrated. I don't really hear that many people talking about it, but when I mention it in a video, I always get at least a few comments from you saying like, yes, that is such an underrated mascara. It's my favorite. It lasts all day long. I love it. So I know a lot of you guys like this one too. So let me just build this up on the eyes, do a couple of I'm trying to say a couple of quotes. Like every single time I go to get the word out of my mouth, it comes out as quotes. A couple of coats, and I'll be right back. Now I'm just going to go in with a little bit of powder bronzer. I feel like I used this in my video from, what was 2 months ago? August. Did I do it in August or September? I can't remember. I know I've been talking about this bronzer like literally all summer. It's just the e.l.f. Primer Infused Bronzer. I have the shade Tan O'Clock. It's holding up strong. I've had it all summer. It's gone on a couple of trips with me. The packaging is not holding up the best, but definitely still usable. I haven't found anything that I like better than this since trying it again a few months ago. The Makeup by Mario powder bronzer is really great. I definitely like the color of that one. I mean, the formula is good too, but I like the e.l.f. formula better. This is the e.l.f. Flawless Face Brush, one of my favorite bronzer brushes. My favorite blush has definitely been the Kosas formula. I got the little blush kit that they launched on Sephora's website for the holiday season. All three of the shades are really gorgeous. I've been wearing this one the most. This one is Euphoria. I will say online, this one looks a lot more vibrant than it actually is in person. Because it is a baked blush, I think each one is maybe a little bit different. So if this was baked with slightly more of the berry toned pigment, it might be a little bit more vibrant. But mine's pretty subtle, which actually works for me and the way that I like to do my makeup, but definitely something to keep in mind if you are looking for more of a vibrant blush. It's just very beautiful. Such a gorgeous formula. These are little blushes, but honestly, I feel like they're the perfect size, especially for Kosas, because I know for a lot of people, their products do tend to expire fairly quickly. It hasn't happened for me, but because they are a clean beauty brand, they do tend to omit some of the preservatives necessary in keeping makeup, lasting longer. So I know some people don't like to buy from Kosas because I have heard that the bronzer expires quickly, the powder expires quickly. The blushes are still fairly new, so I haven't heard much about the blushes expiring faster, but honestly, clean beauty brand or not, I like the idea of mini blushes. It gives you the chance to try out multiple shades without committing to a full-size blush you might not ever use up fully. I just realized my microphone was knocked over and I was filming with it upside down, which I just did in another recent video. Hopefully I can correct the sound, but if it was off for a few minutes, that is why. I was scrolling through Sephora's website this morning, checking out the new holiday launches, trying to decide if I wanted to film like round 5 of the best and worst gift sets. I might hold off for another week or two, but I saw that they restocked the Kosas set, which sold out so quickly. So if you missed out on it, I'm filming this video on Friday. I think it's going up on Sunday, so who knows if it'll sell out again by then. But if not, I will link it in the description box below. It is in stock on Nordstrom's website too, and they have free shipping. So that's an option if you do want to pick up this set. I think I'm actually going to skip highlighter today. I haven't been wearing highlighter every single day. I feel like I don't know. I just like a little bit more of a fully matte look, and my skin gets glowy on its own. So I think I probably will skip highlighter. What do I have left? I think just lips. So for liner, my ColourPop lippy pencils are my go-to. I've been wearing these three a lot. I'm not sure if all of these are available because they do discontinue products from time to time. I'm not sure if these are permanent shades. I think at least two of them are. One needs to be sharpened. So let's see. I think this one was Ashton. This one is Cool BFF, and then this one is Beeper. I've actually been wearing Beeper a lot. It's a little bit deeper, but I feel like it's nice just to kind of blend onto the lips when I want a little bit more color. By the way, my ColourPop coupon code is still working, or it's working again. I'm not sure what happened, but for a little while it wasn't available. If you use the code Andrea, you can get 10% off the ColourPop website. It is an affiliate code, so thank you if you decide to use it. I just wanted to mention that in case you are placing a ColourPop order. Oh, I got confused for a second as to which color I wanted to use. So I'm going to start with the shade Beeper. Like I said, it's a little bit deeper, so it's great to actually define the lips. And this is my favorite lip liner formula of all time. I feel like no matter what other lip liner formulas I try and fall in love with, nothing quite tops this one for me because it is creamy. They have the best shade selection, and it actually works to extend the wear of your lipstick. For lipstick, I honestly cannot get enough of the Makeup by Mario lipsticks. These are so gorgeous on the lips. I have two shades. There is a shade that I added to my loves list for the Sephora sale. I think it's kind of like a lighter, softer pink tone, which I have been getting into pink lipstick lately. This is the shade Bronx Baby. It's a little bit deeper, or I have two. I have Flatiron and Bronx Baby. This is the darker one. Normally, I am all about my drugstore lipsticks. Don't get me wrong, there are so many good drugstore formulas. The e.l.f. O Face Satin lipsticks, I feel like come very close to these, but these are incredibly creamy. The creamiest lipsticks I've ever tried. Definitely not transfer proof. So if you're looking for a transfer proof formula, this isn't the one. If you want pigment, if you want a comfortable formula, something so creamy and gorgeous, like this is the formula to try. Anyway, I think that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I will say not my favorite eye look I've ever done. I wish I did like a cooler tone as a transition and maybe even like a cooler toned shadow in the crease, especially to blend out that outer corner. I don't know what's going on here. So not my best work ever, but I do really enjoy these products. I'm loving them so much lately. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I might end up coming back in a week or two and doing like a 10-minute makeup look. I know a lot of my looks lately have been more full glam, and I do tend to love more of a full glam look overall, but I also have like a fast, easy makeup routine too. So if you want to see that, let me know. But thanks again for being here. I will be back on Tuesday with a new video. Bye.